spending time with us on this Friday night. We're going to be getting into cooking a really nutritious, heartwarming soup for this colder season, and talking a little bit about some Afro-Indigenous ingredients as we're making it, and as we're talking about ways to reconnect with nutritious Afro-Indigenous foodways. I'll give a little background on myself, and then we're gonna transition into talking about what we're gonna be making and some of the ingredients. So my name is Maya. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a urban farmer and food educator based here in New York, originally from Baltimore, and I'm really excited about connecting with folks and helping folks reconnect to their foodways through cooking, through agriculture, and also just like getting our hands into making things and learning some of the stories around the foods that we may be familiar with. Deep Roots is a project that is an Afro-Indigenous culinary and agricultural project that we develop curriculum through, and we also share that curriculum through learning materials and as well as through media like social media, videos, and also classes and workshops like this. So the inspiration behind that is just wanting to create food or create resources and learning resources that center Black and Brown stories that often aren't centered when we're talking about education and when we're talking about food and how to nourish ourselves as well as our spirits, our minds, and our bodies. So we're going to be doing some of that tonight. Today we're working with some really amazing, some of my favorite ingredients, both as a cook, chef, as well as a farmer, and that is sweet potatoes and collard greens. We'll also be using some fresh herbs, so some sage, as well as some onions. Tonight we're using white onions. I'm going to start with chopping up our onion. I'm then going to chop up some of our collard stems, also the collard leaves. And what I like to do is just run my finger down the stem, and I collect my stems in a little pile, like so. I'm just going to chop down the center, and then to create like a little fold, and then slice them into about like half an inch thick, and depending on the leaf size, maybe like 2-inch strips like this, kind of like ribbons. And then you can chop them even finer in the other direction to get them like nice and small, like this. Also, the other thing, once we get all of our stems collected, we're just going to chop those up really, really tiny so that they both add flavor as well as like some more nutrients back into it. Also going to chop up our sweet potatoes like so. And then I'm just going to chop it into these kind of flat planks like this. And then take those little planks and cut them into what I call like batons. So batons are usually like bigger than matchsticks. And then we're gonna cut those into a medium base. So all of this is just a way of kind of uniformly getting your ingredients in together, and then cutting them small so it cooks up fast. Start heating up this pan. So you're gonna get your pot heated up and add you can start with like a teaspoon or so, 2 teaspoons of olive oil or whatever vegetable oil you have on hand. Right? So we're gonna let the pot get hot, and while that's happening, I'm just gonna chop up the sage that's gonna go in. And sage is a really amazing herb. It has like a lot of like antibacterial properties in it. It also just smells really good. So for the sage, I'm just gonna chop it up really fine. just so that it gets nice and distributed. And I'm also going to cook it with our aromatics, so the flavor of the sage starts to kind of like waken up and like bloom. So I'm gonna put it in the oil before anything else, just to kind of get it a little head start. So we're getting our sage in here. We're getting it seasoned up. I'm gonna add in our onions, collard stems, and tomatoes, and get those going. And get that stirred. I want to show this to y'all, but I might transfer this to our other stove just because it's a little hotter. But I just want y'all to see what's happening, and then I'll bring it back over here. But all this is going in there. I'm also going to add in our seasonings. There are measurements on the recipe that you can use as a guide, which is about 2 teaspoons of smoked pepper, cumin, and black pepper. Those are kind of like my minimum. So we're gonna get that in. We're gonna get in a little pepper, and we're gonna add in a little bit of tomato paste. So I'm gonna get some salt. Just start off with a little bit of salt because we can always taste it later. I think of sort of like a teaspoon or so. It's likely you're gonna need more, but like you said, want to start out with the lower end of it. And this is kind of like our seasoning base, all of these flavors. So, and I'm starting to just kind of toss that seasoning base and the root vegetables and all of that we have in there over the greens, so the greens start to kind of shrink in there. And start to cook down. Like I said, I'm gonna move it to this other stove in a little bit, just so that we get a stronger heat, source. And get that stirring, like so. And soups and stews are another dish that, across like Black and brown diasporas, folks cook with greens, one pot, get everything that you need in there. So we're gonna add in just a can of diced tomatoes, and then stir that. And we also are gonna add in about like 2 to 3 cups of vegetable broth. Cooking greens like callaloo, cooking greens like cabbage, turnips, mustard greens, all of those. Their origins are in like Southwest Asia, in like Europe, but they were plants and crops that weren't really valued a lot of times by like Europeans when they were bringing them over during like transatlantic slave trade and things like that. So it was just kind of like scraps or things. But as Black folks were being brought to the Americas, whether that was the Caribbean or South and Central America, as well as North America, and they didn't have the greens that were back in Africa, forcibly having to adapt and like recognizing okay, like these are greens too. Let's like figure out how to cook these and make them flavorful and amazing and yummy. You can learn more about what's coming up or what's happening by following us on Instagram at deep_roots, as well as we have a TikTok which has like educational videos. And then if you prefer to go the email route, you can sign up on our website at deeproots.org. And that's ROUTES. We have a monthly newsletter that has like events, recommendations for like cool things that we're reading about food history, or watching about food history, as well as we also often are going to start to put out a call for contributors who want to submit writing to contribute to the curriculum that we're building out, as well as illustrators and stuff. So if you know anyone who's interested in all of those things, or if you're interested in one of those things, check us out. And yeah, thanks so much for joining.